just got done wrapping up another amazing episode. If you are looking to like step up your direct booking game, you have got to listen to this episode. What did you think, Jed?
Um, my mind was blown. I mean, Rose Tipka came and brought all the nuggets about how they have, I think, all direct bookings basically. They are completely off of Airbnb. They do not use Airbnb at all. They have a 40% return guest rate or something, I think is what she said. And they are very niche down into providing a resort for families at each of their properties. So it was awesome.
And I think she mentioned 80% direct book, which is
I
insane.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, who's doing that? And then also just the nuances of how she contacts her guests before they check in and then during their stay and after. It was just like next level hospitality that all of us can learn from and take a page from her book.
100%. If you guys have anyone else you want to listen to, drop us a comment below and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Welcome to Chai and Cabins, where we talk all things entrepreneurship, short-term rentals, real estate, and business. My name is Rashmi, like don't rush me, and it's my pleasure to welcome you onto this podcast. Awesome. I'm really excited to have you here today, Rose.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Jen and I spoke a little bit right before I jumped on here, and I was like, you have an insane portfolio.
I do. Yeah, I'm a superhero.
I love it. Where are you?
So right now, all of our properties are in Ohio. We're outside of Amish country. It's about an hour and a half south of Cleveland. But we focused a lot on the concept of brand development and defining what our brand is. And so we would like to then take this brand and expand it into other locations that are not local to us, but that families want to travel to. And that's sort of like the long-term goal. We're also super obsessed with owning all the equity in our properties because we're looking at building our own family wealth. So that sometimes slows things down. But that's all right. This is not a sprint here. And my husband's business background before he worked with our company, they dealt with a lot of investors, and it's just, it's a lot of drama. And I know like some people, they don't experience it that, and good for them. But he had to deal with that all the time, and we don't like to answer to anybody but ourselves. So
I love it.
Yeah,
we're growing at our own pace. So
How did you get started in short-term rentals?
so that's a really funny story. Um, so my husband, well, he was working in the oil and gas industry. That is what he's third generation oil and gas. Ohio is a really big oil and gas area. It's not something people think about, but it's a really big oil and gas area. So he was third generation running his parents' business. And he was on his way to an oil and gas conference a little bit south of us, and he got into a very bad car accident. We had 4 kids at the time, and our youngest, he was maybe like 7 or 8 months old. So he was still young. Our kids were, they're very close in age. He broke his sternum, his ribs. He had a really bad concussion, and he actually he had amnesia and didn't know who he was for a couple of hours. So he couldn't tell the hospital who he was. Yeah. It's crazy. I'm not sure if I can hear you guys. Maybe you're not talking.
Oh,
Sorry. Oh my gosh.
Okay. Okay.
Kids
Yeah.
in the background or screaming usually.
No.
So
So the hospital had to do some like detective work to figure out who this man was. And they finally tracked us down through our dentist. And I had to drive down. He was like an hour away at this conference, which, I mean, it's not like he was flying somewhere, but I went to the hospital, had my 7-month-old in the baby carrier, had dropped our other 3 young kids off at the neighbors. And when we were in the hospital while he was recovering, he told me, I can't die going to an oil and gas conference. Like,
sure.
this is not how things are going to go. Like, I can't die this way. And I was like, oh shit. This was not the negotiated agreement here. So it took a while for him to recover. You should know he's perfectly fine now. He always says I leave that part off. He is perfectly fine and living his best life.
Okay. Yay.
But I spent a while trying to get him to do different things because, oil and gas knowledge is super specialized and very valuable. And I hated for him to walk away from that. But he needed a clean break. And so he purchased what is now one of our properties, the cottage at Maple Pond. He bought it the day before I had baby number 5. Now, Jen, you know that you're not allowed to do anything new when you're about to have a baby, because that's the only thing that matters is getting that human out of your body. So he figured it was not a good time to tell me that he had bought this property, and I didn't find out for 6 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
How'd that go? Were you still writing a little bit of postpartum bliss, or were you more just like, okay?
Part of me was just like, well, my first gut reaction was, oh, this is the concussion, because sometimes people with concussions can do unpredictable things, and this is very outside of his character, completely outside of his character. But then it was just like, oh, okay, well, that's done. So now what are we going to do? And of course, the house was a freaking dump. It was terrible. Like every wall was like a different condiment color. Like it was hideous. It had no furnace. It had no air conditioning. The bathroom was like a hallway. It was terrible, but it was sitting on a 2-acre private lake. There were no other houses on the lake. And it was in the middle of the woods, and he had just gotten it for a steal. This was before real estate was insane. And so I saw the potential of what it could be. So I'm like, hey, maybe we'll just we'll fix this up, because I have a lot of experience with project managing. I'm sure that comes as a surprise, Jen.
Yeah.
I have a lot of experience project managing. So I had the place renovated, and we just, threw it up on Airbnb just to see what would happen. And yeah, it was off to the races from there for us.
And for anyone that doesn't know, including me, this project management is you guys homeschool your kids, correct?
Yes, we have 6 kids. I homeschool them. I was a former classroom teacher as well. And we've done a lot of construction projects, and we've helped family members out, and just big tasks like that, and trying to herd all the cats. Like that's in my wheelhouse. And Jen will tell you I do a lot of that with Hospitable Hosts, a lot of herding cats.
Lots of herding cats, aka authors. Yes. And just,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Then
Yes.
That is. So
Yes.
that's wild. Okay. So like how big is this property? I mean,
so that one is 19 acres, and the original cabin is still there. We're doing a little facelift on that one right now. And then a couple years later, we built a big, 3,500 square foot purpose-built vacation rental there. And that's the cottage at Maple Pond. That's actually our most popular house right now. And it's an up north lake cottage. It sits right on the lake. The lake is stocked, and we have boats and all of that kind of stuff, because we've really doubled down on that concept of multi-generational family travel. That's our niche, and that's what we are bringing to our guests, is the perfect family vacation.
I love it. Are there multiple properties on this 19 acres?
So on that one, there's the 2 doors on that property. We have 2 other big size parcels. One of them where we're building the pool, that's 15 acres. I don't really think we could build any more on that one, just the way that land is laid out. But what's nice about 15 acres is you're back in the middle of the woods. Even in the winter, you don't see anything. Like you could walk around naked and no one's going to see you back there. So then last year we finished up construction on a different parcel. It's 32 acres. That one is our Middle Haven property. We have about 5,000 square feet finished back there. Can sleep up to 23 people. That property has 2 lakes and a waterfall and a basketball court, all that kind of stuff. We are looking at building our next house also on that acreage. It's kind of like an upside down L. And we're only on this front 5 acres. So we have a ton of acreage in the back. So we could still build on the back of the property, and both houses could still have complete privacy. So I see us going that way. And we already forked out the cash to bury the electric and all of that kind of stuff to the top of the hill in the back of the parcel. So I think that'll be the next location.
That's so cool. So did this kind of this brand, was it born out of just because you were looking for places to stay with your family?
Yeah.
Really? Because they
Yeah.
have a larger
So
family.
that's a big part of it is like we have a huge family. We have a big family. And when we vacation, we usually stay with like my parents, my sister, her kids, plus we have dogs. And so just finding a big enough home that's family friendly and pet friendly, it's like a double whammy because sometimes there's that code like family friendly or pet friendly. Sometimes the code means it's not as nice. Like if you want to stay at a place that's pet friendly, it's almost like you have to compromise on the design or in the amenities because, hey, we let you bring your dog.
Mm.
I'm willing to spend nice money to stay in a nice place, and I'm also going to bring my dog. So we decided to build the brand and build the properties around what we were looking for because we could never find it, and kind of taking that gamble that other people were in the same position, and they absolutely were. Absolutely.
Yeah.
How did you finance these properties?
So we did some self-financing at the beginning. We relocated, I'm sorry, reallocated some of our assets to begin with. We did like a line of credit with some investments as a backing to finish up some projects. And then when we built Middle Haven, we actually got a commercial loan, a commercial business loan from a local bank. And we were able to, we got it at 2.7%, which was amazing. I will never pay that back. Uh, uh, and so that was how we financed our last project was we just went to our local community bank. We live in a small town. So that's the first thing. Like the guy at the bank who's the president of the bank, we also go to church with him and his kids are the same age as us. And they're really big in supporting the community and investing in projects. And so they financed that last project and that's how we got that all wrapped up. So not really sure what approach we'll take the next time around, but that's all right. I'll figure that out.
I love it. How did you know there would be demand in this market? It sounds like it's a
Yeah.
small market. How did you know? And
So
especially
we so we're right outside of Ohio's Amish country. Now, I would call this like a second tier undiscovered market. We because not a lot of people think like, gosh, I want to go to Ohio's Amish country. But it does bring over 1 million visitors a year, which is more than most national parks. I know. So if you think about like geographically, Amish country is equidistant from Cleveland and Columbus. It's about an hour and a half from Pittsburgh. If you expand out down to like Cincinnati, which is not that far either, there's almost 14 million people in that 3-hour bubble. And everybody knows about the Amish. A lot of us live around there and people come to Amish country. And so from an SEO standpoint, a lot of our marketing uses like Amish country and stuff like that. So this was a market that people are already traveling to. So we were just really capitalizing on that to begin with. Also, there is an area in Ohio called Hocking Hills. It's down it's like 45 minutes from Columbus, 45 minutes from Cincinnati. And a lot of people go there, especially for like hiking and that kind of stuff. But if you're coming from the Cleveland area, which is it's the largest Ohio city. If you're coming down from Cleveland, it's a good 3.5 hours on 2-lane roads. It's not an easy drive to get there. Plus, Hocking Hills is getting super busy and it's expensive. It's very expensive down there. So we have been poaching families that would go down to Hocking Hills and rent these huge houses down there. The families are coming from the Cleveland area. They can get to our houses in an hour and a half tops.
Oh, wow.
We're right off the freeway, so they're not like, pioneering on 2-lane roads, and they can be at our houses. We're priced very competitively, and we're offering more amenities than these Hocking Hills houses because we have to. And so we've been poaching a lot of groups that would normally have gone down there, but then they're coming here. We're easier to get to. We're offering more. We're more competitively priced.
I love it. What amenities do you have? I know we were talking about like pools and fountains
Yeah.
and I was like, this is
Yeah.
awesome.
So I like to think of each one of our houses as like a mini family resort, except your family is the only one there. So we have full-size game rooms, which are in all of our properties. And so when I say game room, we have PlayStations, Nintendos, we have arcades, we have air hockey and ping pong and foosball, giant Connect Fours, that kind of stuff. Those are the things in the game room. Outside, we have zip lines. We have two of the properties have lakes. So we have canoes and kayaks, paddle boards. The lakes themselves are stocked. So kids can go fishing, and we're providing the fishing reels as well. One of the houses has its own basketball court. The properties do have hiking trails and stuff like that. Hot tubs, of course. Everybody has to have a hot tub in our market at least. So those are the kinds of things that we're just filling out the properties with so that there's things to do for adults and for little kids. One of my specialties is coming up with things for the toddlers, like the 1-year-old to like 4-year-old. I think those are the hardest kids to travel with. Yeah. So they aren't really going to play with the older kids. They're walking, so you can't like just hold them in your lap. So we also do things like busy boards on the walls with all like locks and things like that for them to fidget with. We also have light tables. You'll see those at like museums and stuff. So we have light tables with magnet tiles. So that's sort of part of the secret sauce, like keeping those like 1 to 4-year-olds entertained. That's hard business. And so that's where like my mom superpower comes out.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I'm gonna have to go I'm gonna look at your listings now because I'm just
Yeah.
thinking my little one is 2 and I was like, I
Those are
mean,
hard.
he doesn't play with the older, I mean, he does play with the older boys, he tries, but he can't keep up. And then he won't sit and do anything by himself, really. So you gotta
Mhm.
find something that's really gonna be, keeping his attention for a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
I'd like to look at like what museums have because museums usually have kid play areas.
yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, what do they have and how can I replicate it here? I want it to be something that people wouldn't necessarily have in their own home, so it feels special. I was looking at those huge, like light bright boards, but the one at the museum I was at was $16,000. That's not going to happen. But I think I found like a $2,000 option. So
Yeah.
I think that might be really cool. My kids played with it, and my husband played with it too. So I'd say that's a winner.
Yeah, they're fun. Oh my gosh, that's so good. Oh, this is chock full of good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I look at what museums have and I say, how can I make that happen here? My next house, I'm planning on a karaoke stage. I saw that idea somewhere.
Oh.
Kids love to shout into microphones.
It's true. Adults love to do it.
So, yes, adults love to do it too. But yeah, I think my next house is going to have a karaoke stage. And yeah, that'll be a good time.
I love it. And you guys are building a pool, you said?
So one of our houses does not have a lake. That's Mount Pleasant Lodge. And so it already had a detached garage. It was a 50 by 40 detached garage. So we're talking 2,000 square feet to play with. So we are retrofitting this detached garage into an indoor pool. For our area, we do get winter here. And there are other homes in the area that have pools, but they're all outdoor pools. And I know the owners of those houses and they're very nice people, but my houses are nicer, but they have a pool. So they book well. So we're now going to have an indoor pool, which is going to be a game changer for us in the off season. And our house is much better designed and all of that kind of stuff. So that will be opening next month, which I'm super excited about. And that's gonna be a game changer at that property.
Wow. How was the process to build like an indoor pool? And I'm guessing it's heated, like financing.
Yes.
That.
So we did a line of credit with we went back to our local community bank and we did a line of credit there. And so what our intention is we've raised our rates once the pool opens, and so we can spend down that line of credit because we have it at a very low interest rate for a shorter term. So we're gonna once that new income comes in from the pool, we'll just spend down that line of credit, but it'll remain open so we can use that for future projects if we want. So with the pool, it was, it was a like a metal building. It's sided and it was framed and it already had electric in it, all of that kind of stuff. We had to, move the electric around because we can't have electric within 8 feet of water. The concrete itself, that was the floor of it, it had to come out.
Mhm.
So they had like a mini dozer, a little mini backhoe that went in through the garage door, and they brought up the concrete in 8x8 slabs. It actually went really, really smoothly, which was a relief for everybody involved. Because dealing with contractors, there can be a lot of like drama. Uh, but I've been working with a lot of these people for a while, so most of them know not to horse around with me. So that was the first step, is bringing the concrete up. The pool is like a fiberglass one-piece unit. It went in the garage door and into the ground. And then the deck itself is poured concrete, and then we did a commercial grade epoxy coating on that so that it has grip. Because we know as moms that things that are wet are slippery. It is one of the universal laws of science. So we did a grippy epoxy floor, like what you would see in like a hotel pool or something like that. And so then the inside has a full bathroom with a shower. There is a shower outside of the bathroom so that people can wash off before they get in the pool. There's a kitchenette, all of that kind of stuff. Pools, if done right, you need to have a commercial HVAC unit, and those are very pricey, but you do it right or you do it twice. I mean, that's construction right there. Those get built on demand. So once you order it, then they go into the process of it. So that takes about 3 months. That'll be coming in May. So there's a lot that goes into it.
It's gonna look
Awesome.
amazing though. Can like just see the
Yeah.
vision.
That's gonna be
So if
awesome.
we hired a local muralist, and she is painting a 90-foot long, 10-foot high mural. Yes, hold on just a second. Boy's not in here right now. No, they're trying to clean, but they're moving things around. Yeah. So it's going to be really stunning. There's 3 different garage doors. We're getting those replaced with glass garage doors. So then when you go in the door to the pool, you'll see this huge mural. But then like there's the mom and me, and water definitely makes me nervous. So the garage doors, they do open and close, but on the inside of the garage door, our contractor is actually building a wall, like a pony wall. It's about 28 inches high. So even when the garage doors are up, kids can't just like run in through an open garage door and access the pool. So we're trying to think about how to make it as safe as possible. Pools can be a really big liability.
Mhm. I love that. And Rose, where are you guys getting most of your bookings? Through the
Yeah.
OTAs or direct or?
Yeah, so we're mostly direct. We fluctuate between 70 to 80% direct. Right now, we are getting, and we don't use Airbnb at all. So I'm just gonna throw that one out there. We cut the cord on Airbnb a couple of years ago, which was scary, but the quality of guests that they were sending to us, it felt too risky for the amount of money, especially our own money that we were spending on these properties. And so I decided to work harder at finding better guests. And so the first step of working harder was to drop Airbnb. We do get about 30 to 33% of our reservations right now through Vrbo. And then the rest are direct. So that's a combination of through our social media. We get about 20% of our reservations where guests report that they found us on social media. We also get a really high number of guests coming back year after year. Last year, we had a 40% return rate, which was huge.
Yeah.
The lifetime value of a loyal customer is tremendous. So we kind of spread those things out. We do a lot of marketing. We have a really robust email marketing system set up. We do ads, we do Google ads, we do meta ads and stuff like that. And then on the backside, once guests are booking, I do some surveying of them to find out exactly where they're finding us so that I can make sure I'm in those spaces. A lot of times people will start social media pages and they're like, well, how do I know if this is even working? So that's one of the things that I track. And I'm pretty happy with getting 20% from social media.
That's amazing. So that's a fellow mom,
Yeah.
several kids. Like, how are you managing all of this and your time and like are you a one-woman show? Do you have assistants?
Yeah.
Is your husband full-time with this as well?
Yes. So my husband is full time with this as well. And he does all of like the accounting, the bookkeeping side of the business. That is his strong suit. That is his business background himself. Plus, he just loves a good spreadsheet. I mean, the man hasn't seen an Excel file that didn't make him smile. So he loves that. He loves doing that. So on my side, I'm doing the operating of the company on the day-to-day basis. We have cleaning crews for each property, and each cleaning crew has a lead, and that person is responsible for coordinating the cleaners and all of that kind of stuff. We also have a handyman on staff. His name is Paul. Handy Paul, we call him. We built him a shop last year, so he has his own like home base, and he is in charge of all of the maintenance. We use Breezeway for property care, so he is using Breezeway all the time, and he's a really important part of our company. We wouldn't be able to do anything without Handy Paul. We don't have any VAs or anything like that. I really want to focus on that personal relationship building with my guests. There's so much automation, there's so much AI, and that definitely saves time. But when everybody is zigging, your opportunity is to zag. With all of this automation and all of that kind of stuff, when you go in the other direction and focus on developing relationships with your guests, that is in and of itself a competitive advantage.
I love that. Going back to you mentioned you're spending money on Meta ads, Google ads, Facebook ads. Are you doing that yourself? Do you have some help? Like, do you have any tips you can share about your newsletter marketing? This is an area I struggle with personally. Something we're
Absolutely. Yes, I think we as hosts know that we should be doing those things, but actually executing on them is hard. And it's not necessarily that the task itself is hard. It's just figuring out what to do and then just to crank out the content. So while I know that I am perfectly capable of doing it, that is not a place where I am willing to spend my time. And I also think in order to do Google ads, Meta ads right, you do need to have a level of knowledge and expertise. So we contract with a company called Build Up Bookings, and they do our email marketing. They write blog posts that are super SEO for our website. They run our Facebook ads. They run our Meta ads. I meet with Conrad, who's the CEO, once a month, and we go through all the data and we say, this ad is performing really well. How do we double down on it? We were A/B testing some lead magnets because everybody read $100 million leads. Everybody did that. So then everybody made lead magnets. We were A/B testing the lead magnets in Facebook ads. By the way, they did not perform well. So we are pivoting those and we are testing those as a pop-up on our website now. And so we have the support of Build Up Bookings on the back end to do those kinds of tasks. Like I could figure out how to get a pop-up on my website. I could. I'm just not going to. And so we rely on them for those kinds of things. And they are excellent, super professional, and they are always looking out for us.
I love that. I literally pulled them up as we were talking. I have so many.
I love it. Yes. And they know exactly, what they're doing. I said, hey, how about we come up with a lookalike audience from all of our pixels, because we have Google pixels and we have Meta pixels. Like, can we combine that with our MailChimp email list and come up with a lookalike audience? And they know exactly what that looks like. And then they can just execute on it. And they do a great job. We tested lead magnets as ads. It didn't work very well. Now we're going to test them as a pop-up to collect email addresses on our website. And we have 3 different versions of it. So we can see, is this going to convert better than just a regular old pop-up? If it does convert better, which lead magnet is converting the best? So we can continue to test that and refine our systems.
Jen, we should get Conrad on here.
Conrad's amazing.
Yeah, we should.
I love Conrad.
I did have a demo call with them a couple weeks ago. So
yeah, I love Conrad. He's very good. Their website people are great too. Gino is their website guy, and he is on website problems like white on rice. It's great.
And then you guys do influencer work? I have one last question.
Yes. So yes, we one of the marketing techniques we've used, and I view it as a marketing technique, is working with influencers to come stay at our properties and then borrowing their audience to promote our homes. I view content creators staying as a form of marketing, just in the way email newsletters and ads are. It's marketing. And sometimes when people think about working with Instagrammers or working with content creators, something happens inside our brains where it like turns to scrambled eggs. And we think like, we're going to go viral and then our calendar is going to be full and it's going to be amazing. But that's, first of all, it's completely unrealistic. But also when things go viral, what you might end up with is a whole bunch of followers that are not actually your potential guests. For example, most of our guests are coming from the Cleveland area and they're driving here. Someone giving me a follow from California, hey, that's great. I would love that. But the chance of that person, me converting that person into a paying guest, pretty small. So I've developed a system where I find the content creators that are in the geographic locations that my potential guests are coming from. They have overlapping content pillars and all of that kind of stuff. And then those are the people that I'm reaching out to or are now reaching out to me, so that their audience that they are showing their state to is an actual pool of people who might actually come stay with me. And that's been a very effective technique for us to get our brand out there in the right geographic areas. And so I think it's something that people need to look into, but also like keep your head about you. Like
Yeah.
it's a form of marketing like everything else.
I was going to ask how you're like vetting people that.
Yeah. So yeah, I have a whole process that I go through where, I'm looking at their content. I'm making sure that it's in line. Like, I'm a vacation rental company. I am not looking for anything controversial other than like Coke or Pepsi, that's not what I'm looking for. And I have worked with people that were definitely frogs, but I learned lessons from that. But once you get a couple of good content creators, what's fun thing about content creators is they all know each other, just in the way like we in the industry, we all know each other. And so now I will often rely on referrals from content creators I've already worked with. Or I'll say, hey, this person approached me. Is this someone you would work with? I don't want to be like, hey, tell me all the tea on this person, because I'm an adult and I don't gossip. But I'll say, hey, would you work with this person? And if they say, no, I don't think so, then I'm not going to work with that person either. So again, it's that relationship. We are in the business of relationships, and that takes many different directions.
I love it. And do your build up people, do they help with finding that, or is that something you do on your own?
Nope, that's something that I've done on my own, and it's been very successful for us. We get more and more content creators who are now going in the other direction, reaching out to me, so I have a little bit more pick. But with the summer month coming up, our calendars are going to be booked solid, so we won't host too many more in the summer. But once the calendar slows up a little bit, we'll be getting back to getting folks in there on weekends that are perhaps orphaned or something like that.
Yeah. Are you providing them free stays, or is it a discount?
So what they are getting a 2-night, a free stay. And then I have very specific asks that I'm negotiating with them. So right now with the ones I've used in the past, and nobody has ever said no to this, so it seems to be quite reasonable. They do 5 to 8 stories. They don't always post while they're staying, and a lot of times that's for security purposes, and I totally understand that. 5 to 8 stories where my account is mentioned in the stories. They do 1 to 2 carousel posts where my account is added as a collaborator. That way, all of that engagement on that post goes towards my account's metrics as well. Then they do 1 to 2 reels, again, where we are added as a collaborator.
Mm-hmm.
And most content creators go beyond that, especially if their content is performing really well. They'll reshare it in the future. I've recently had a content creator whose his thing is dogs. He has 2 German Shepherds. He was trying to book another rental down in like West Virginia, but they wanted to see an example of his travel content. So he just happened to repost one of his reels he made staying with me. And he reposted it on his stories. And just from that, I got like 75 new followers. It was a reel he already had, and he had shared it over the summer, but he just like reposted it to say like, hey, this other account, here's an example of my travel content. And just him reposting that, I got another wave of new people.
Yeah.
I love it. That is,
Yeah.
like, I'm like learning so much. I'm like,
I know.
wow, I have all these notes over here.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. I was me too. I'm like social media.
Yeah,
I know. I know.
Like, did you say, is it build up bookings helping with your social media, or are you creating?
They
content?
can manage your social media for you. They do not manage mine.
And are you creating all of your social media content?
I am creating all of my content. I do manage a few other people's accounts. I manage the Hospitable Host account. Me and Maddie, she's down in Australia. That way we have 24-hour coverage on that. And then I just went through a rebrand with Jody's account, because her company is called Tetberry Escapes, and she's used some different social media managers. And for us, we just did a rebrand with her, and I'm getting her content produced, and then I'll be handing the account back to her. And I'm using a lot of the same structure that I did with Hospitable Hosts. And so we'll have at the end of this about 3 to 4 months worth of content, and then I'll hand it over to her and show her how to get it up there and get it produced. So that's not my main thing, managing other people's social media. Maybe it should be, but I also try to be kind of rigorous with where I'm choosing to spend my time.
Do you pay any of these influencers? I've seen some of them ask for payment.
I have seen people ask for payment, and I do not pay them, because they're taking pictures and they are working and making content. But for the value of their stay, and at the end of the day, they are also getting a free vacation at my house, I do not believe that it justifies me paying them to do it. And I also treat them as if they were any other guest. They get the same guest communication flow. They get the same welcome gifts. They get the same departure gifts. They're getting the full guest experience. They're not just showing up as, a contract employee. They're getting the full vacation experience.
So tell us about that. So you said welcome gifts, and then you said departure gifts.
So I read a really great book, and I'm going to plug the STR book club. Skylar and Maddie have the STR book club, and they are actually, Skylar and Maddie, along with the Carwells, are hosting a retreat at our properties in October. And so the STR book club, I'm going to be leading that discussion while they are staying at our houses in October. And it's going to be based on a book called Never Lose a Customer Again. And I highly recommend that book as something for all of us as business owners to read. It's not often a book that's brought up. People are in love with Unreasonable Hospitality. That's a book that everybody always recommends. It was a very interesting book, absolutely. But my fundamental argument with it is that it's based on restaurant hospitality. And in a restaurant hospitality, you are watching your customer consume your goods and services. So you get that instant real-time feedback. We can't do that. Mm-hmm. We really can't do that. So there are certain limits to what that book is saying. But as part of Never Lose a Customer Again, it takes this concept of the customer journey and breaks it down into different phases. Okay. So someone's going to book a vacation. My properties are usually at least $1,000 a night. So if somebody's staying with us, they're spending at least $2,500. Whenever you make a big purchase, what is the first thing you feel? What do you think? Yeah, it's the look on your face, isn't it? That's called buyer's remorse, right? Oh no, did I make the right decision? That's buyer's remorse, right? So our guests are booking, and then they're wondering, did I pick the right place? Is this real? Are they going to be a good host? They're all of those things. So as soon as that reservation comes in, I am picking up my phone and I'm doing a video of myself. I'm not worried about getting dressed up. I'm not doing that. And I'm going to say, hi, Jen. This is Rose from your family's place. Thanks for booking Mount Pleasant Lodge in May. This is where I insert my magic phrase. You can relax and know that I'm going to take excellent care of you. That's my magic phrase. And I say, if they have any questions, feel free to reach out and I'm glad to help. I can do that in less than 20 seconds and I text it right to them. I try to get that to them within a couple of hours of them booking. So right away, I've said, good job, you made the right choice because I'm going to take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also writing a thank you note, a handwritten personal thank you note. And then inside that thank you note, I'm putting my business card. I am also giving them a gift, and that gift is a fridge magnet. That fridge magnet is small enough that I don't have to pay extra postage on, but it gives the envelope a little bit of weight, and you can feel that there's something in there. It's a marketing concept called lumpy mail. People open mail that feels like there's something in there. So they're going to get a thank you note handwritten from me in the mail a couple of days after they book with a present, which has the logo of the house that they're staying on. Now, hopefully they'll slap that on their refrigerator. And up until the time, leading up to their stay, whenever they walk past their fridge, oh, that's where I'm going on vacation. Oh, that's where we're going to go. That's where other people come over to the house. What's this place? I'm going to go on vacation there. And it feels more like a gift than it does like marketing. So hopefully with those moves, I have alleviated that first huge barrier, which is battling buyer's remorse. So those are the things that I do. Before guests show up, the night before, I've also found the night before, there's the pre-arrival like emotional meltdown. I'm not sure if you've ever done that yourself. Before you arrive somewhere, there's like this whole new level of anxiety. You're packing, all of that kind of stuff. Like guests tend to have a meltdown the night before arrival. So since I know that people are going to do that, I'm going to pick up my phone and I'm actually going to call them like 1900s style. I'm going to call them on the phone and I'm going to say, do you have any questions before your check-in tomorrow? That's it. Do you have any questions? And they might ask me, they used to ask me about grocery stores, but then I programmed an email in to take care of that. And a lot of times they'll say, no, I don't have any questions. Like, when am I going to get the door code? Just something really simple. And I'll let them know, here's what's going to happen tomorrow. I talk them through everything that's going to happen for their arrival. This is when you're going to get the code. Your code is going to go to your email. It's going to go to your phone. As soon as you have that, the place is yours. This is the door you're going to use. And if you have any questions, this is my number. Feel free to give me a call. So that's part of like that pre-arrival communication. While the guests are there, I let them take the lead on any communication. People are on vacation. They're not looking for a new best friend. But on the day that they check in, I'm also going to drop another handwritten thank you note into the mail. That thank you note is going to thank them for staying. I'm going to tell them that I would love to host their family again. I'm going to ask if they know anybody who would love our homes. And then they're getting a second magnet, and that magnet then has my brand on it so that they see I stayed at the cottage at Maple Pond. But here's their brand. I want to check their website out and see what other offerings they have.
This is amazing.
Wow, I know. I got chills when you were talking about. I was just like, oh my gosh, Rose, I'm like slacking over here. Next level.
Yep. It is work, and it is a lot of work, but that's also why we have such high direct traffic. That's why we have so many repeat guests. That's why we have so much direct bookings. That's why. And it's not just, you don't just like throw up your direct booking website and then everybody comes caravanning towards it. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way in any industry. And in some ways, Airbnb and Vrbo has made it too easy for us not to run professional businesses.
When this is a random question, but for their
Sure.
address, for their mailing address, I mean,
Yeah.
you ask that, or do you say why, or because
So my PMS collects that. My
oh, it does
PMS collects
anyway.
that. So I
Okay.
use a PMS, people cannot, our PMS is set up where in order to complete the booking, people have to fill in their contact information. And after all, they're getting the address of my house.
Mhm.
Like I should get their address. That only seems fair. People cannot complete their booking without signing our rental agreement, uploading a copy of their photo ID, and filling in that information. So I don't need to track people down for that. That's just part of the booking process.
Love it. What does your tech stack look like?
Yeah. So the hub in the middle of our tech stack is our PMS, and we use OwnerRez, and I have been very happy with OwnerRez. I do not have any complaints about it. I know it's not I know they don't do as much marketing, and so you don't hear about it as much, but as somebody who is on the inside of many conversations across the industry, everybody's using OwnerRez. Okay. That's what we're all using. So sometimes I've heard people complain that OwnerRez doesn't scale big enough for larger portfolios. One of Build Up Bookings clients has over 500 units, and they're using OwnerRez. A Noble Crawford is a hospitable host, and he has hundreds of units. He's into government contracts. He's using OwnerRez. I have 6 units, and I'm using OwnerRez. So it's a software that's at a really nice price point to begin with, and it seems to do well for a large variety. We use Breezeway for property care and management. We're using Price Labs for dynamic pricing. We have a Touch Stay guidebook, although Breezeway is now rolling out their own guidebook, and so that might sort of change some of the math there because they say that they are now going to include their guidebook in with your Breezeway subscription. So Breezeway's making some big moves in there. Let's see. We have StayFi in all of our properties, and we use Point Central for our smart locks. I think that pretty much wraps up our tech stack.
And any Ring cameras?
We do. We have Google Home cameras that are on the exterior of the properties that look at the driveways. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I've learned
Yeah.
so much. My brain is still processing. I'm like, I'm doing nothing.
Well, there's a lot of layers to it. There's a lot of layers to it. And we're really focused on what systems and processes we have so that when we expand out into new markets, we can take that and replicate it in new places.
Mhm.
I love it. What's next
Yeah.
for you? What's on the horizon?
Well, so we are looking, don't tell my husband this. I'm looking to build a big house. I mean, we do have big houses, but I'm looking for like a big house over on our 32-acre property. I'm thinking like a 10-bedroom with a pool and a sauna and maybe like an indoor pickleball court. I don't know. I'll come up with some new ideas. But one of the long-term goal for us is to find properties in other locations that are very family friendly, and then to work with finding the right property in these other locations so that folks who know our brand or want to get to know our brand but are not necessarily in Ohio can have the Your Family's Place experience in different markets. I love Northern Michigan, so I think that'll probably be our first place. I love the Metapaces. They're in volume 2 of Hospitable Host. They're up in Maine. I would love to work with them because they are amazing, super professional, and I know that they could take care of our homes to the level of professionality that I would expect. So I'd like to work with more operators in different parts of the country so that we can recreate our model in different places.
I love that. This has been so great. Thank you so much. If we
Yeah.
touch with you, how can they find you?
Sure. So my property management company is Your Family's Place. And so you can find us on Instagram at Your Family's Place. I also have another account called Hosting in the Motherhood. And Hosting in the Motherhood is where I share my hosting content. I separate that out because my potential guests don't give two hoots about whether or not, what hosting books I recommend. They don't care about that. So I have a separate account, Hosting in the Motherhood. And right now over at Hosting in the Motherhood, I am doing a year-long series called Unhobby Your Hosting. And as part of Unhobby Your Hosting, I have 7 different phases that moves you from, starting your company and defining your brand all the way through like more advanced things towards the end of the year when it comes to like direct booking strategies. So there's different phases. And like right now we are in the professional services phase. And I hate to report that very few people are using an accountant. That was this week's post, that professionals work with professionals and you need a good accountant, and nobody was using an accountant. So that is a free series that I'm doing over on Instagram at Hosting in the Motherhood. And maybe someday that whole series will become a book. We'll see.
I love it. And you're part of the Hospitable Host family. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so my chapter is in Hospitable Host Part 2. So Hospitable Host is a community of the very best hosts around the world. And these are the people that are in the trenches. We are people who know how to empty a hot tub, okay? Like we're doing the actual day-to-day work of hosting. Okay. So we're the kind of people that are in the trenches. We are the face of hosting, and we are really focused on taking care of the actual people in our homes. There has been so much hot air over the last few years about finance hack this, or, here's this trick to do this, and let's passive income. But we are here actually taking care of the people in our homes with real, genuine hospitality. And we have a hospitality course. It's a first to the market course that is just about hospitality. And I'm very excited for that because we're going to be setting some actual standards of what hospitality actually means. A lot of people can throw these words out, but we're going to define it. We're going to give it a definition, and we're going to show folks in the course exactly what to do to create that 5-star hospitality. We are up for 3 Shorty Awards this year, which I'm very excited about. Shorties are like the Oscars of the short-term rental industry. We made the short list in 3 categories, which actually might be the most, which is super exciting because we're just like this collection of hosts around the world. And here we are playing with the big kids at the awards ceremony. So it's going to be a very exciting evening.
I love it. And to wrap up, you have this insane portfolio. Like, congratulations. And you have 6
Thank you.
homeschool.
And I have 6 kids. That's right. They keep you humble. That is for sure.
Like, what does your typical day in your life look like?
There's coffee. So we get up, we start with coffee. We start with that. Usually, most days I am working at home with the kids while they're doing their schoolwork. So like behind me right here is our fireplace. On the other side of this room is our school table, which right now looks like a tornado went through it, but that's homeschooling. And I help the younger kids who need more help with their school on a day-to-day basis while I'm working on my own projects. We have lunch. We're crazy like that. We have lunch. Today was a library day. So we went to the library. We played at the library. In the afternoon, we do more school. We read books. We do history. We do science. Some of my kids are in soccer. So one day a week, we'll have soccer practice. Some of my other kids are doing fencing, which is a great sport, but very expensive. So think about that before you encourage your kids to do fencing. So it's very much like we're just like a regular family doing our things. We're working. Our kids are here doing their work with us. And most importantly, every Wednesday night, we get ice cream.
Most important meal.
That's right. Every Wednesday night, we go to the ice cream shop and get ice cream.
I want to go get ice cream now. You know what? I will.
Every Wednesday. Every Wednesday.
Watch me. It's Wednesday. Oh yeah, it's Wednesday. Well, there you go.
That's right. Tonight is ice cream night. So yeah, every Wednesday we go to the ice cream shop. It's never too cold for ice cream.
Agreed.
Yep.
This was so fun. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks, Rose. This was great.
Yep. Awesome.